Hi and welcome to Letters from Paradise, episode number 44. We've been talking about our worldview, and this episode I've called Undivided. 2 episodes ago I was sharing about creation and the love and relationship that permeates all things. During the episode I shared that I could no longer hold to the idea of a hell where the objects of God's love are tormented whilst fully conscious, without any possibility in all eternity of relief or escape. What I was rejecting in that statement was a teaching known as eternal conscious torment, one that I'd been taught and had held to some degree, all my life up until these recent years of spiritual renovation. Can I explain every verse of Scripture that I once used as proof texts for this theory? No. However, it's amazing how much sense what I am newly learning is making. Brian Zahnd, in his brilliant book, Sinners in the Hands of a Loving God, speaks of dear people who had lived lives of Christ-like love and yet had confessed some other creed. His hell theology would once have put them in eternal torture. Brian now asks the simple question, what would be the point of that? Something I've come to realise is how a hell theology impacts a person's worldview. Eternal conscious torment is the ultimate separation, the final incarceration. It is the end of a judicial system. No appeals are left, and the judge has no further prerogative of mercy to extend. As long as I held to this idea, I had with it a lens of judgement, condemnation, and ultimate damnation through which to view the world. As much as I tried to tell myself that God is the judge, not me, I found myself dividing people and groups up into categories that unless they became more like the people in my group, then eternal hell probably awaited them. Oh, what a terrible burden to try and live with. Talk about a them and us dualism. But oh, how different the world looks when that lens of judgment is once and for all discarded. It's taken some work in the reconstruction, but mine now is an undivided worldview. A view of how together, how united, how one we all are. This non-dualistic thinking is what God was trying to teach Peter when in a trance he was commanded to eat that which he considered unclean. Peter finally got it, and as a result, those who had once been out in his thinking were now in. There would be no in and out, them and us, in the gospel of Jesus Christ. Of course, God's oneness with all humanity didn't start with Peter. Listen to what the German theologian Dietrich Bonhoeffer had to say about Jesus and God's inclusion of all mankind in him. In the body of Jesus Christ, God is united with humankind. All humanity is accepted by God, and the world is reconciled to God. In the body of Jesus Christ, God took on the sin of all the world and bore it. There is no part of the world, no matter how lost, no matter how godless, that has not been accepted by God in Jesus Christ and reconciled to God. Bonhoeffer had strong reason to have a dividing line for those who were in and those who were destined for eternal hell, for he had been incarcerated by the Nazis during the Second World War and would be executed by hanging at Flossenburg concentration camp just 2 weeks before it was liberated by the US Army. But the life example of Jesus forbade him to hold such a lens of judgment, as did simple truth from the apostles like, there is only one God and Father of all, who is over all, works through all, and is present in all. I have come to see that holding an undivided worldview enables me to love without hesitation all those around me. I only have good news for them. I only have good for them. Dear friends, we really need to get serious about this awful Dante-inspired vision of hell. It is supposed to have created more atheists and provoked more bloodshed on earth than any other teaching of the church. I have a compelling quote from a beautiful, inclusive soul with which to end. If we have no peace, it is because we have forgotten that we belong to each other. Saint Teresa of Calcutta. Shalom.